Yours is a walk which makes me reflect in two ways on the figure of Moses.
On the cusp of a potential final farewell, Pope Francis, 88, battles pneumonia in both lungs, reaching out from his hospital bed at the Gemelli Clinic. With his breath labored and his legacy at stake, the pontiff shared a stirring, heartfelt audio message that has believers and skeptics alike reeling. He prayed for a peaceful passing and asked for a simple, modest funeral, shattering centuries of tradition. Read on to discover the final words that could reshape the Catholic Church forever. Health condition of Pope Francis. Pope Francis, at 88 years old, is currently facing a serious health battle with double pneumonia in both lungs. Since mid-February, he has been hospitalized at the Gemelli Clinic in Rome, where doctors monitor him around the clock. This infection has posed significant challenges due to his age and past medical issues, including past surgeries and reduced mobility. Despite brief moments of improvement, his condition remains guarded, and the Vatican has warned that sudden changes could happen at any moment. For treatment, the Pope uses non-invasive mechanical ventilation at night and receives high-flow oxygen therapy during the day. These efforts support his breathing, reduce strain on his lungs, and help prevent further complications. According to pulmonary medicine specialist Dr. Stephen White, such interventions are standard for someone in Pope Francis's situation. The goal is to help him recover without intubation, which can be riskier for an elderly patient. Over the past few years, Pope Francis has struggled with multiple health concerns, including mobility issues linked to arthritis and sciatica, along with 2 abdominal procedures. Now, with a pneumonia affecting both lungs, his medical team is cautious about his progress, but remains hopeful. They remain committed to giving him the best possible care for a smooth recovery, even though each day can bring new hurdles. Recent updates from the Vatican indicate that the Pope has stabilized, with no new episodes of respiratory insufficiency at last report. However, doctors plan to reassess his status regularly, mindful that he may need many weeks or even months of ongoing support. The presence of pneumonia in both lungs is especially concerning at his age, so keeping his lungs clear of any buildup or infection is a high priority. Dr. White points out that staying active, at least mentally, is also key. While the Pope still needs plenty of rest, engaging with limited tasks may help preserve his strength. Any indication of falling oxygen levels or trouble breathing could trigger a shift in his care plan. Everyone involved is aware that unexpected setbacks may arise quickly. Despite these challenges, Pope Francis continues to offer messages of faith and hope from his hospital bed. Many around the world are praying for his recovery, watching for any sign that he can resume his role without further delay. For now, all eyes remain on the Gemelli Clinic, where each day's bulletin offers a glimpse into his steady but precarious road to better health. We all hope his strength returns fully and swiftly. Acceptance of mortality. Pope Francis, now 88 years old and hospitalized with severe pneumonia in both lungs, has chosen to face his fragile health with a calm acceptance. Though the world prays for his recovery, he has quietly prepared his final wishes. In a touching statement, the Pope asked God for just one favor, that he not suffer too much. This heartfelt plea reflects the depth of his faith and his willingness to trust in whatever path lies ahead. Born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Pope Francis has always championed humility. From the beginning of his papacy, he urged the Church to serve the poor and walk alongside those in need. In this spirit, his own funeral requests are startlingly simple. Rather than following centuries of tradition, he wants a modest, unadorned ceremony, far from the pomp usually associated with papal funerals. This decision highlights his belief that even in death, we should remember life's core values: compassion, service, and love. For many believers, his attitude toward mortality offers a lesson in faith and hope. He trusts that God will guide him in his final moments, whenever they may come. Instead of fearing death, he views it as a natural part of our earthly journey. In his own words, he prays for a peaceful passage, asking for no more than a gentle transition from this life to the next. Yet this acceptance does not diminish the sadness felt across the globe. The Pope's frail health has brought millions of people together in prayer. They hold vigils, send messages of support, and share stories of his pastoral care. Even as he battles an arduous illness, Pope Francis continues to spread a message of kindness, urging unity and compassion for all. Medical experts remain cautious in their outlook, describing his condition as guarded. They note the possibility of sudden setbacks, especially at his age. Still, the Pope finds ways to speak from his hospital bed, offering recorded messages of gratitude. His voice may be weaker, but his resolve is strong. In embracing the reality of his own mortality, Pope Francis shows that acceptance does not signal a surrender to fear. Rather, it is a testament to his unwavering devotion and his trust in something bigger than all of us. By clinging to hope, humility, and love, he reminds us that life, even in its final stretch, can be a profound act of faith. Those closest to him cherish these final lessons, grateful for his lasting example of acceptance itself. Funeral wishes. Sensing his time may be short, Pope Francis has outlined funeral wishes that reflect his simple spirit. Known for his focus on humility and service, he hopes for a modest ceremony that breaks from the grandeur of past papal funerals. Despite centuries of tradition, the Pope insists on a wooden coffin with a zinc lining. He also wishes to rest not in the Vatican grottos under St. Peter's Basilica, but instead in Santa Maria Maggiore, a church dear to his heart. If honored, this decision will set him apart from many of his predecessors, who were typically entombed near the bones of St. Peter. His choice underscores his commitment to humility. In breaking with custom, Pope Francis hopes to shift attention toward the values he has championed throughout his papacy: compassion, awareness of the needy, and authentic faith. Rather than the ornate three-layer coffin used in traditional papal burials, cypress, lead, and oak, he envisions a simpler, more understated approach that mirrors the life he has tried to lead. Those close to the Pope say he wants fewer grand theatrics at the funeral. He hopes the ceremony will focus on prayers and community coming together, rather than elaborate pageantry. This aligns with the message he has brought to the Church, that true greatness lies in pouring oneself out for others, rather than craving worldly praise. Unlike previous popes, Pope Francis seems more concerned about leaving a legacy of love than about the symbolic weight of Vatican traditions. By requesting simple rites and a plain coffin, he demonstrates his belief that even in death, one should stand before God free of earthly acclaim. In doing so, he intends to inspire renewed faith. Though some might be surprised by these wishes, they reflect the very heart of his ministry. From the moment he took the name Francis, after the humble saint of Assisi, he has spoken persistently of caring for the disadvantaged. Now, he is ready to say farewell in a manner consistent with his lifelong message of mercy. Historical significance. From the moment Jorge Mario Bergoglio was chosen, he became the first pope from the Americas. Born and raised with the humblest background in Buenos Aires, his selection as Pope Francis in 2013 changed centuries of European leadership at the Vatican. In that moment, white smoke rose from the Sistine Chapel, unveiling a new era for over 1 billion Catholics around the world. As Pope Francis, he challenged the Church to go beyond cold traditions and help the poor and marginalized. He stepped forward with a bold message: serve the forgotten, comfort the suffering, and share the gospel with kindness. This shift in tone, from grandeur to gentle compassion, echoed beyond the walls of Rome. People across continents connected more deeply with the Church's mission, seeing his example of humility reflect the spirit of faith. But Pope Francis has not only shaped the Church's focus on the disadvantaged. His significance also lies in the messages he shared with non-Catholics. Through interfaith talks, he welcomed dialogue with other religions, aiming to foster unity in an often divided world. This open-hearted approach earned him both respect and criticism, but it undeniably set him apart from many of his predecessors. In an era marked by political and social polarization, Pope Francis chose to lead by empathy, urging believers to see Christ in every person. His stance on issues like climate change also became part of his historical mark. With an encyclical highlighting care for our common home, he called out consumerism, pollution, and neglect of the environment. This was the first time a pope spoke so strongly about the urgent duty to protect our planet. His leadership in these matters made people rethink what the Church stands for, extending its moral voice into areas once seen as outside religion's scope. Meanwhile, Pope Francis remained known for simplicity. He lived in the Domus Sanctae Marthae, not the grand papal apartment, signaling that he intended to walk among the people rather than tower above them. That alone set a new tone and confirmed that the papacy was evolving. Whether agreeing or disagreeing with his views, people recognized his historical impact. His papacy stood as a bridge between tradition and transformation, urging the Church to meet people where they are. Now, as he endures his own fragile health, the world revisits his legacy. It is clear that Pope Francis, the first pope from the Americas, has left a mark on history that will long be felt. His legacy endures. Challenges of recovery. Recovering from a serious illness can be complicated, but when you're 88 years old and battling pneumonia in both lungs, the path is full of challenges. That is what Pope Francis faces today, according to updates from the Gemelli Clinic in Rome. Medical experts caution that sudden changes can strike without warning, especially at his age. Despite this, there have been some encouraging moments. Vatican officials highlight that his condition stabilized enough for him to offer short audio messages, though breathing remains difficult. One major obstacle is his existing health history. Over the past several years, he has dealt with mobility issues, sciatica, and 2 abdominal surgeries. Now, with bilateral pneumonia, he must use non-invasive mechanical ventilation at night and supplemental high-flow oxygen during the day. Doctors emphasize that advanced age, combined with these medical conditions, can slow recovery. While non-invasive ventilation can help avoid intubation, it does not guarantee an easy path toward regaining strength. Another key challenge is managing secretions and inflammation, which can worsen quickly. Experts point out that even small setbacks might require invasive procedures. Recently, Pope Francis underwent a bronchoscopy to clear fluid from his lungs. Although it helped, this procedure highlights how vulnerable he remains. His doctors must balance rest with gentle activities to prevent further decline. Keeping him mentally engaged also matters, as complete bed rest could weaken muscles and prolong his hospital stay. Because pneumonia can evolve unexpectedly, medical staff keep a close watch on the Pope's oxygen levels and stability. For now, official statements suggest occasional setbacks and guarded optimism, urging the public to remember that his road to recovery might be long. Some specialists predict that his hospitalization could stretch for weeks, if not months, until he regains enough strength to safely return to normal activities. Even then, careful monitoring will likely remain essential. Despite these trials, Pope Francis continues to demonstrate faith. Each time he manages to speak or send a message from his hospital bed, people worldwide draw inspiration from his perseverance. Still, the most pressing challenge remains his advanced age, which makes any extended illness more dangerous. He will need ongoing respiratory support, possible rehabilitation, and close medical attention to guard against sudden relapses. Above all, patience is key. His doctors warn the public that slow, steady progress is more realistic than a turnaround. While no one can say exactly how long this process will take, many hope that with each passing day, he moves closer to a full recovery. Continuity and church leadership. One of the greatest questions facing the Church is how it will continue to function once Pope Francis is no longer able to serve. With his health precarious, talk about the papal succession has moved from hypothetical to pressing. For centuries, the Church has relied on well-defined protocols to choose the next pope, guided by tradition, prayer, and the careful leadership of the College of Cardinals. That time-honored process underscores the significance of continuity within Catholicism. The Church endures while individuals pass on. In the event that Pope Francis passes or resigns, the journey of electing a new pontiff begins with the Camerlengo confirming the Pope's death and sealing the papal apartments. This role is currently held by Cardinal Kevin Farrell. Once the official announcement is made, the College of Cardinals gathers in Rome, ready to undertake the solemn duty of electing a new pope. The sacred ritual called the conclave occurs in the Sistine Chapel, where cardinals under the age of 80 vote by secret ballot. A 2/3 majority is required to select a successful candidate. White smoke rising from the chapel's chimney signals to the waiting world that a new spiritual leader has been chosen. Yet continuity is about more than procedure. While structural steps ensure a chain of command, true leadership depends on the next pope's ability to uphold the faith's core mission. Pope Francis's papacy stands out for its emphasis on humility, mercy, and care for the marginalized. Whoever steps into leadership after him will inherit both the Church's long traditions and Francis's unique legacy. This interplay of old and new shapes the Church's evolution, guiding it through modern challenges without losing sight of its roots. Pope Francis himself has acknowledged his limitations. He has openly considered resignation if his health no longer allows him to serve effectively, reminding Catholics that leadership, while sacred, must be ready to adapt. If he chooses to step aside, the Church will rely on the same core practices to find a successor. This possibility highlights the institution's resilience. No single figure, however beloved, can overshadow the Church's enduring mission. Rather, the Church looks to each new pope to continue its mission with fresh insight. In this time of uncertainty, people worldwide pray not only for Francis's recovery, but also for the leadership he symbolizes. Even if he must step aside, the Church's unbroken line of succession remains. Through prayer, unity, and shared faith, Catholics believe that God's grace will guide them forward, onward.